Welcome back. In this task, we will add a drop-down to our app. A drop-down is one of the several widgets that Shiny provides. Here is a web page that displays the several widgets that Shiny provides. We have action button, we have check boxes. And if you scroll down, we have radio buttons, we have select box. This is the one we're interested in because it is a drop-down. Let's click on the C code button and here we get to see the code to create a drop-down. If I click on UI.R, this is where we see select input. That's the function that we use to create a drop-down. So let's head back to RStudio Cloud. Let's find out a bit more about select input. Since this is part of Shiny, let me type library Shiny to load the Shiny package. And then I do question mark, select input, and I should get some help in the help tab. Here are the several arguments to the select input function. We have an input ID, we have a label, we have choices. Choices is the choices that we want to provide in the drop-down box, and we use a vector to specify those. Then we have the selected. This argument is used to specify which of the choices should be selected by default. The default value for selected is null, which means that the first choice will be selected by default. Multiple, this is used to specify if we want to let the user select multiple drop-down items. We don't need that, so we'll leave it at the default value of false, which means only a single selection. We'll skip select eyes, and width and size are for the size of the drop-down box. So really, there are three arguments that are required. So we'll skip the others, and the default values will be taken for them. So let's come here and we'll replace the title panel with select input. So I have keyed in the instruction. The input ID is cell city for selected city. Then we have the label, which is really a prompt, and then the choices. We specify the choices as a vector. The first element is San Antonio and the second one is Mombasa. And since we left selected equal or null as at the default value, in the drop-down, San Antonio will be selected by default. So let's see that. So let's run this app. And we now have the drop-down in the space we created for it. And if we click on it, we see the two cities with San Antonio selected by default. Let's select Mombasa. And we don't see any change in the map. That's because the map is drawn by the server function and we've not updated it. Even the title didn't change. The title is really created in the UI and not the server. So we will see how to update it shortly. Now the title is conditional upon the city that's selected. So let's see how we'll do it. Let's go back to RStudio Cloud and we'll stop this here. And the way we check for the condition is by using what's called conditional panels. So let me write this out. I have updated the app. So let me explain the code here. Earlier, Within this column function invocation, we had specified the number of columns and then a title panel. In place of that, we have specified two conditional panels, and within each condition panel, I have provided two arguments. The first argument checks for the selected city. The first argument is condition, and it checks for the selected city. And the check is done using an equality operator. So we're saying input dot cells underscore city double equal to San Antonio. Notice this is an equality check. If the selected city is San Antonio, this will become true, the condition becomes true, and this title panel will be displayed. If the selected city is Mombasa, then input.cellCity double equal to San Antonio will return false. This condition will be false, and this won't be executed. This won't be displayed. Instead, the second conditional panel will become effective. Here, this condition will become true, and this title panel will be displayed. So that's how we use conditional panels to make a choice between two input values. What is this cell city? This cell city is the same as this ID of the dropdown, and we use input.cellCity to get the value of the selected city in the dropdown box. Now this makes our code a bit more confusing, but don't worry about it. With practice, you'll get it. Now let's save this and we'll run the app. And by default, San Antonio is selected. Now let's select Mombasa. And notice the title changed. Depending on the city, a different conditional panel took effect and the appropriate title was displayed. So let's stop this. So let's stop this as well. Let me explain how we specified the condition. Notice that the condition was specified in double quotes that begin here and end here. And within the double quotes, we specify the input and we try to check it against the name of the city. And we specify the name of the city in single quotes. This is normal practice. If we need to specify something using quotes within an existing quoted value, we use a different type of quote. Since we had already specified condition within double quotes, we used the single quotes for San Antonio. We could have done it the other way around as well. We could have used single quotes on the outside, and then for San Antonio, we could have used double quotes. Likewise for Mombasa. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. So in this task, we added a drop-down and we updated the code to select to display the appropriate title. Notice that we've been updating the basic app version 1. In the next task, we will update the server function to update the map when the selected city is changed, and I'll also give you the code for the complete enhanced app. So I'll see you in a short while.